Good afternoon. Delighted to welcome you to our annual conference, albeit virtually. Hopefully all of you managed to access the platform okay. So today is about setting the scene for the academic year. So rather than directing you to the toilets, I'm going to give you a technical message in case you need any help. So if you experience any technical difficulties during the session, please click on the question mark, which is in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and that's got a number of problem-solving tips. Or alternatively, if you can't resolve the issues using this method, please contact the live support team using the live support hub icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So any problems, just use those two icons. And also just to note that the presentations will be recorded, but not the breakout sessions. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. So just to note, we really did want to have a physical event, but we know the environment and pressures on time are not yet conducive to that. So we are hoping, though, to get you all together in June 22 for another physical conference. I know many of you will remember the great day that we had together back in June 2019 at Park Hall. So hopefully we will be getting back together soon. So I'm now going to just share my screen. So just bear with me. So hopefully you can see those slides okay. So my name is Michelle Lawty-Jones. Good to see you. Director of the Lancashire Skills Hub, supporting the work of the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership and the Lancashire local authorities across the patch, all 15, driving the skills and employment priorities of our businesses, residents and economy. We've got a great lineup for you today. So we've got Chief is an enterprise company, delighted to welcome into Lancashire, who'll be talking about the national picture, priorities for the coming year and support to the Lancashire Careers Hub. We've got Sarah Brickliffe, MP for Hamburn and Haslington and Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Education. So Sarah is going to talk to us about the importance that government place on careers as well as local areas. And Sarah is a fantastic advocate in the borough for the Careers Hub work, working with the Careers Hub and Amazing Accrington. We've got Peter Caney from BA Systems, who has been forging the way as a cornerstone employer for the past few years and is now chair of our Lancashire-wide group, providing a business lens to our work. And our very own Ruth England, lead teacher for the Careers Hub, will be introducing the breakout, and we've got Kay Vaughan with us, Careers Hub lead, providing the final input. So firstly, what a year. When we were celebrating your work at Park Hall in June 2019, that the following year we would be impacted by a worldwide pandemic. It is personally and professionally. The last year and a half have brought a myriad of challenges to the education sector, the business base and the people of Lancashire, both young and old. We want to say a huge thank you to you all for your commitment and support to the young people of Lancashire. We heard hard-hitting terms like the lost generation as the impact on young people was reported, but we know to work to boost aspiration, break myths about the labour market, and have definitely helped our young people to keep their eye on the future and their next steps. So thank you for all your personal and professional resilience and sticking with us on the journey in terms of supporting young people and their future careers aspirations. It's a fantastic partnership that we have between our education sector and our businesses working together. We've seen collaborations flourish as communities have come together to support young people, and a huge amount of innovation and creativity. There's always a silver lining, I guess, but it has enabled us to test different approaches that we probably wouldn't have done otherwise. A real opportunity to bring through that creativity and to build our future careers provision. So from pivoting communities of practice to virtual platforms, we're all now masters of Zoom, Teams, Microsoft Classrooms, and so on, to providing virtual encounters and experiences with employers, apprentices, further education, and higher education. We've built together a whole host of new creative approaches. There's a few examples on the slide, too many to mention, but a few examples here. So the Teen Tech Festival, we had over 850 pupils across Lancashire engaging with a wide range of virtual workshops, inspiring them about technology and digital and future roles. So good. We're repeating it next term. So hopefully you're getting your students signed up. Should start in Lancashire with support from funding from the Blackpool Opportunity Area and the Twinning Fund and the Careers and Transition Fund. So a fantastic resource with a myriad of resources and video content that you can use to support your careers provision. So bringing in that kind of blended approach. An LMI board game, bringing to life intelligence for young people across the Fylde coast, with a travel to work aspect to it as well, with support from Blackpool Transport. That's going to be rolled out across the travel to work areas this year, as we've got really good feedback from the young people that have engaged with the game and piloted the game. Support for transition, led by Educational Diversity, working with the community of practice for our alternative providers, a great resource to support transition for those young people. And again, we'll be looking to roll that out across Lancashire. So loads of great examples. And through the breakouts, we're really keen to get your input into what you thought worked well and how we can make a blended approach work into the future and really break open the opportunities for young people so they can experience those different sectors and different jobs. Through the pandemic, we saw rises in employment, we saw reductions in vacancies, and we saw the use of the furlough scheme in certain sectors. As you all know, the 18 to 24 age group experienced the highest proportional rise in unemployment in Lancashire, more so in our disadvantaged and the highest rates of furlough. However, coming out now, we've seen the investment in youth hubs, investment in Kickstart and support for young people coming through to provide them that support to re-engage with employment. Furlough has now ceased and the economy is absolutely bouncing back. And we've gone from famine to feast with vacancies, lots of job opportunities for people of Lancashire. The opening up of the economy, industrial digitalisation, green growth and the reduction in the EU workforce are all contributing to the boom in the number of jobs available. Young people need to be optimistic about the future and the plethora of opportunities available to them. And indeed, we need them in Lancashire supporters around our business growth. So just focusing in on the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership and priorities, as you know, the LEP is a private public sector partnership working together to support the local economy. We have 6 sector groups that have been established, which are business-led. So these cover health, food and agriculture, digital manufacturing, energy, low carbon, and tourism place. Cover a range of topics from innovation to internationalisation, to sector growth, to inward investment, and of course, skills. And rather unsurprisingly, every single group has independently prioritised the need to attract talent to their businesses and to build the pipeline from education. From replacement demand due to our ageing workforce, to skill shortages, to supporting growth and inward investment, the future talent pipeline is critical. There are cross-cutting themes, as I referenced, industrial digitalisation, enabling businesses to adopt new technologies, new approaches, embrace AI, data analytics, robotics, and so on. We need to build together our future digital workforce to ensure business sustainability and growth. The drive to net zero, we've all been hearing the messages from COP26, forecasts in Lancashire of 44,000 green jobs by 2030, 68,000 by 2050, 4th highest growth area in the country. We also have opportunities arising from strategic investments. You will have all heard about Eden of the North, the opening of the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre on the Samlesbury Enterprise Zone, the Health Innovation Campus in Lancaster, investments by UCLAN in both Preston and Burnley, not to mention the town deal investments in Blackpool, Preston, Leyland and Nelson and other towns as they come to fruition. Alongside these are new facilities moving to Lancashire, which will provide good quality, high value jobs. So hopefully you saw the announcement around the National Cyber Force, a fantastic opportunity for Lancashire, and when they announced that they're going to base their headquarters in central Lancashire, which will create around 2,000 high value jobs in cyber. And only yesterday, Blackpool announced the relocation of the Civil Service Hub to the town centre, attract new government functions and support job creation. And that's just the tip. There's so many great businesses and opportunities across the whole of Lancashire to inspire young people about their future and enable them to secure high-value jobs. It all connects back to the Lancashire Skills and Employment Strategic Framework, which prioritises the work of the Careers Hub and all that you do in terms of supporting our young people to make informed decisions about their future and to boost aspirations. A priority as well around technical education routes, so how we balance those routes through technical and through academic. We've got the new T-levels, which we're rolling out across Lancashire. We've doubled the number of T-level starts in September this year compared to last year, and also obviously through apprenticeships. So making a more kind of equitable approach in terms of those different routes, and building the digital workforce future. So some real priorities in there where the Careers Hub is absolutely critical in terms of driving that work. We also have businesses signing up to the Lancashire Skills Pledge across Lancashire. So businesses committing to inspire, develop and recruit Lancashire people. We've got over 100 businesses and that group is growing week by week. So through that, we've got all the schools and colleges, all the special schools, all the alternative providers. That's 156 institutions across Lancashire working with business to boost the social mobility aspirations and futures of our young people. And through those institutions, that's 93,000 young people from year 7 to year 13. So the work that you're doing is making a significant difference. So I'm going to stop there. I'll stop sharing it. And I'm going to pass you over to Ollie. Delighted to introduce Ollie DeBoff, Executive for the Careers and Enterprise Company, who I know is as passionate about the positive impact of careers provision and interactions with as Lancashire. So over to Ollie. Okay, so Ollie's just logging into the system. So he'll be with us in a second. Okay, I've been told we're going to pass on to Sarah first. So delighted to introduce Sarah Brickcliffe, who's MP for Hyndburn and Haslingden, as a Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Education. And Sarah is a fantastic advocate for us in our local borough as well, working proactively with the schools and colleges and with Amazing Accrington. So over to Sarah.
Thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone. I'm on earlier than I thought I'd be. It's fantastic to have been invited to be a part of the Lancashire Enterprise Advisor Network and Career Hubs Conference. As the Member of Parliament for Hyndburn and Haslingden, it's a great pleasure for me to be asked to be part of this event. So I want to just talk briefly about the levelling up agenda and particularly the importance which careers provision has as a part of this. But before I do, I just want to thank you all, the career leaders and employers who are here for everything you do for Lancashire's young people. Your commitment means that many more of our young people are getting a good start in their careers and making those crucial first steps with the support that they need. And as someone who grew up locally not that long ago, I know how important good careers advice is for getting started. So a huge thank you to you all. I started out at Moor End Primary School before going on to St Christopher's in Accrington, and without the support I received at these schools and the guidance that they gave, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. And I'm so pleased that on the visits to St Christopher's, many of the teachers that guided me are still there doing the same for others. And I'm now very privileged to be in the position of Parliamentary Private Secretary to the Secretary of State for Education, Nadine Sahawi. More than once I've been asked, what is levelling up? What does it mean? What does it do for us and our families? And how will we see the benefit? And I've always given the same explanation. Levelling up could also be called geographic fairness and opportunity. It means that a part of the world like Hyndburn and Haslingden, which has historically been ignored, overlooked, gets just as much attention and investment as more high-profile areas like London or Manchester. And it means that a business in Highbury and Haslingden gets just as much as support as a business in York or Oxford. And it means that a child in Highbury and Haslingden has just as much chance of a good education, a good career and a good future as a child in Surrey or Bristol. Levelling up means giving a chance, a voice and an opportunity to everyone. And nowhere is that more important than in education and for children at the start of their careers. The government's been very clear, all educational settings must provide exemplary career services for young people to enable them to choose a career that is right for them. So the Department for Education is supporting this through a range of measures, including the Baker Clause, introduced in 2018, which ensures that all schools and academies must publish a policy statement setting out opportunities for providers of technical education courses and apprenticeships to visit schools to talk to all pupils and to make sure the policy is followed. In the Skills for Jobs white paper, the government committed to continuing the national rollout of career hubs, as already mentioned, digital support, careers leaders training and the Enterprise Advisor Network to all secondary schools in England. I believe that this will help all schools and colleges achieve the Gatsby benchmarks, which were instigated to develop and improve careers provision. And Michelle has also mentioned T-levels, which is fantastic. In addition, we've got Sir John Holman, who's been appointed as Independent Strategic Advisor on Careers Guidance and will advise on completing the national rollout of careers infrastructure, developing an enhanced National Careers Service website and instigating complementary personal guidance for young people. But more broadly, the government's also addressing the impact that the pandemic has had on career opportunities for young people. We've all heard how young people have struggled throughout this, and it has to be a priority. So, for example, the launch of the Kickstart scheme, which provides funding to create new 6-month jobs for 16 to 24-year-olds on universal credit. I've seen how well that works across Highbury and Haslingden, and as well as the Department for Education's Employment and Skills Guide. So the government is committed to developing and improving careers guidance for all pupils, as well as ensuring that employment opportunities exist to gain valuable work experience. So that's the summary of the government's position: to recognise the importance of careers advice in levelling up and to support getting the necessary services in place to ensure that opportunities are there for young people in Highbury and Haslingden and across Lancashire as a whole. But this won't happen with just government pressure from London, as we all know. It's just as important that areas work together, careers advisors and employers, to create the opportunities for young people and a climate in which everyone is given the chance to fulfill their potential. And we are really lucky here in Lancashire to have you all leading the charge, because our workforce is going to have to change radically in the years ahead. The kinds of work and the kinds of jobs themselves are going to change. The green economy is going to become very important, flexible working, new technologies and changes to our attitude to work itself are going to rewrite the rules and the certainties which have existed for generations. If we're able to get ahead of the wave of change and invest in innovative programs which embrace the new economy, we have a real chance to bring prosperity and huge investment to Lancashire. And it all starts with you. So no pressure at all. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm hoping now we have Ollie in the room to pass over to.
Do I exist? Am I here? I've been here all along. I generally was here. I don't quite know what happened. Can you hear me?
You are. I'm not sure what happened there. So wonderful to hear from Sarah and how careers fits into the levelling up agenda and helping every young person to have the best start in life, and the continued commitment from government and the national rollout of career hubs. Recognition of the partnership between education and business and how a workforce fit for the future working together. So great, Ollie's back on, which is fantastic. So delighted. Ollie, who's Chief Executive of the Careers and Enterprise Company. Wonderful to welcome you to Lancashire, Ollie.
I'm so sorry about that. And Sarah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. My browser went berserk. So apologies, everyone. I'd love to be joining you there in Lancashire, Michelle and everyone. Salem in my son's bedroom. He may come bounding in a minute. But I just wanted to first of all, before I'm just going to present in a minute, just say a huge how inspired I've been by the work that I've seen in Lancashire. I come from an education background. I led a school, and some of the stuff that I've seen happening in terms of employer engagement, helping young people find out what's next, the incredible way that schools, special schools, alternative provisions, colleges are making their doors porous for new opportunities for young people is so brilliant. And I think if we had the Lancashire to model across the country as we roll out careers hubs, I think we'd be in really good stead. I just wanted to spend just a few minutes setting out, I suppose, the national picture, if that's okay, in terms of what we're seeing across the country in terms of careers provision and where we think it might be going next. So I'll just present here. So firstly, I suppose the way we think about careers education, I think, is simply this. If you think a school is designed, I used to say when I was a head, I used to say to connect the past, the present and the future for young people. So the past I always thought was shorthand for the really important academic qualifications we know young people need. We know they need their English and their maths in particular. But that's only a third of what we think that young people will help young people find their best next step. We know they need their present to be coped with, their social and emotional well-being, the way they relate to one another. And then the final third is helping young people get ready for what comes next. So when I'm in a meeting of head teachers and they say, well, Ollie, I've got great exam results, I say that's absolutely fantastic. But it's important also to think that's perhaps only a third of what is a really good education. And careers education with involving employers, delivering the Gatsby benchmarks is such an essential part of school life. And I'm just completely in awe in the way the careers hubs has made that central to schools and colleges in the region. So our mission at the Careers and Enterprise Company, we're the national body for careers education. We try and support and the system as best as we can is to work with schools and colleges and employers to help every young person find their best next step. And I've had an opportunity since I've joined to speak to lots of people around the country about their experience of careers provision. I've spoken to young people, careers leaders, careers advisors, hub leads, and it's worth just setting out some of the assumptions that sit behind our work. So the first one, and we heard this from Michelle, that there is uncertainty for young people. Of course, we've known about that. We've known about the issues of youth unemployment. But there, I think, is now unparalleled opportunity, both in terms of the work-based learning routes, whether it's apprenticeships or the new T-levels, and also, more importantly, the kind of appetite for employers to get involved with schools, not just for CSR, but to move it from CSR to HR to really build those talent pipelines. The second assumption is that, and we know this, is that the difficulties are not evenly felt by young people. So some young people, and Sarah mentioned this in terms of levelling up, and I couldn't agree more, is that we need to make sure that the pathways for young people are based on their aspiration and skill and not their circumstance. And of course, careers education has an incredible role to play in that, building social capital, helping people stay local but go further. And hopefully colleagues around the table can recognise that too. The third assumption, and this speaks to what we're saying and Michelle was saying about technical and vocational routes, and it sort of goes without saying, and I always knew this as a head, that a best next step is clearly not the same for every young person. Some young people are incredibly animated by more hands-on learning. Others prefer the ethereal university route. But careers education fundamentally needs to give young people access to all the options, making sure there isn't information asymmetry. So young people understand the different pathways and can know that they are choosing something which is right for them. The fourth assumption, and this relates, I guess, to where the Careers and Enterprise Company started, is that this work, I think, is experiential in many ways. Young people seeing, feeling work before they make choices, absolutely essential. Because as educators, we never know what will stick, and also we know as educators we don't always have all the answers. But giving young people broad and magnificent and deep experiences with the world of work before they make those choices feels very important. So nationally, we've got a few objectives that we hope will be meaningful. So the first one is about careers education having that measurable impact on young people now and in the future. So we've been very lucky this year we can now analyse how well a school or a college or an area is doing against those Gatsby benchmarks, versus how many neat young people there are in an area. And it's really pleasing to see that, and you might expect this, the better the careers education, the fewer young people are not in education or training or employment. But also we want to understand what young people say. So when we meet young people, they say, look, I want even more information. There is unmet demand, particularly about those technical routes. So we're pushing out nationally, and you've heard that with Michelle, a real focus on those high quality technical routes. The second thing that we are prioritising is including all young people in careers education. From my experience, careers education has an incredible role to play in removing barriers for young people. And these barriers can be multifaceted. We know the stories about young girls sometimes being reticent to go into STEM, or the fact that some young boys sometimes are foisted in hands-on routes and it might not be right for them. We know about the geographical disparities that Sarah has spoken about, or the demographic ones. But careers education must fundamentally be in the business of finding out the individual needs of children and creating plans for them to find their best next step. And the third objective we have is to build leaders and institutions who can sustain this work long into the future. So that's why we're training up careers leaders, another 750 this year on top of the 2,000 that have been trained over the last couple of years, a variety of routes all around the country, a route that suits the school and an individual leader. And then there's the careers hubs, and we think they're just an incredible way that you can bring together all people in all the areas. And we'll hear from Ruth at Shuttleworth, the lead school in the Lancashire Careers Hub in a minute, about how careers, there are many people have an interest in careers education. It's employers, FE, apprenticeship providers. So a hub has a crucial role to play in bringing everyone together in a neutral space so that we can plan interventions to support all children, independent of where they go to school or college. So I think I've got a few more minutes. I think Michelle said be very tight on time. I just want to spend 2 minutes giving colleagues here an access to the data that we get. So we're very lucky at the Careers and Enterprise Company. We have a national data set which lets us know how schools are doing against the Gatsby benchmarks, what's going up and what's sort of going down. And so last year, that most extraordinary of years, I just wanted to give colleagues here a sense about what happened in careers last year. So the first thing that I think was very interesting is that schools and colleges are increasingly using their curriculum to reference future careers. And that happens in small and big ways. It might be Year 8 science doing DNA, talking about different routes into science. Or a bigger picture, this is an example for Pinewood Studios, the creative industries that worked with AET Academy Trust, to build maths lessons that kind of had that employer input that helped young people understand that the creative industries aren't just about doing drama GCSE, but have a full range of skills to it. And I think that's a positive development. The second thing we learned is that schools and colleges are increasingly sharing information about the full range of options, particularly apprenticeships. We know there's more to do, and we know, as Sarah said, the Baker Clause, but it seems to me that schools are definitely, and colleges, responding to that challenge, that demand from young people for more information. The third thing we noticed, and we heard this, I guess, from Michelle before, is that encounters are with employers were more challenging this year, with furlough and businesses not sure what was happening next. But innovation was hugely up. Virtual work experience, blended work experience, different types of work experience. So some schools did project-based, skills builder, all sorts of different elements to it. And that feels, again, like we wouldn't want to lose some of that innovation as we go back to face-to-face. Of course, we must have face-to-face because young people need to experience the world of work as it is. But what can the virtual world do to enhance those experiences? We've noticed that the local collaboration, things like careers hubs and training, are still producing better careers education, as you would expect. And it's a simple idea. If people get together and collaborate and work together and share best practice, the careers education improves for all young people. The fifth thing we've noticed, and this again feels very positive, is that careers leaders are increasingly concerned with the needs of every young person, removing barriers where they can. So whether that's the personal guidance interview or sharing particular labour market information about the local economy so young people can stay local and build businesses and build social capital where they are. And for our part, some of the data we're seeing is about the individual groups who are having particular interventions. Again, that feels like a natural maturation, exploration of the role of careers in schools. And the sixth thing, as I mentioned before, is that careers provision works. So the more effectively it's delivered in schools, the more likely young people are to be in secure destinations and the less likely they are to be neat. So it's a call to arms, really. What you've done in Lancashire is absolutely extraordinary, and I'm in total awe. And I'd love to come and visit if I can. But broadly, what I'd like to say to you today is that there's more to do, and if we work together in the way we have, I'm sure we can have an even greater impact on young people. So I'll hand back to you, Michelle. Thanks very much.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Ollie. So really great to hear the priorities, the focus, impact on young people, which is, of course, what we all prioritise, and balancing that support to think about technical and academic routes into the world of work. So thinking about those young people and what works best for them and their aspirations and interests and learning styles and so on. So as you all know, we're a huge advocate of technical education with our technical education vision, and embedding that into the work of the Careers Hub, really important. And, a real front runner in terms of the T-level rollout across Lancashire, with 6 colleges now delivering and the network growing. So really great to hear you say as well, Ollie, Lancashire modelling the way. So well done to everybody involved, because that is a real compliment. There's some fantastic work going on across the country with colleagues in different careers hubs in different areas. So it's a real compliment for Ollie to say that Lancashire is leading the way. So well done to everybody.
Don't tell anyone else, Michelle. Michelle, you can't tell anyone else that.
So that's a secret. So we're not to share that with other colleagues in careers hubs. Okie doke. So I'm going to introduce you now to Ruth England, who's our lead head teacher. So Ruth has been with us on the journey since we started back in 2016. So, a phased approach to building the hub up. So Ruth is going to introduce the breakout exercise. So over to Ruth.
Thanks, Michelle. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm there. This is very disconcerting, this new technology and platform. Hi, everybody out there. It's lovely to be here, albeit virtually. It's great to get that sort of point in time, that sense of feedback. And I think Ollie's messaging around how much has been achieved during the pandemic is something we do need to hang on to, because I know, probably speaking for some other school colleagues, to some degree, coming back in September will have felt like a new start, because of the amount of disruption and change that we've all been through over the last 18 months. I certainly know coming back into settings and trying to return to normal, but with evolutions and changes, has been perhaps more challenging than we might have thought. So I think it's a really good point to kind of reflect. I would imagine in all of our settings, there's been work we did during the pandemic, particularly around careers, that we're really pleased with, because it's actually been easy to facilitate. It's been sort of touched on our innovation, our creativity, but there'll also be things that we're only just now realising and we're missing, that the students haven't had the experience of over the past couple of years. So the idea of these breakouts is to really sort of try and reflect on those things and see how we can move things forward and get that energy going of the hub and the collaborative working, really get that moving at pace as we go forward over the rest of this academic year. So we've got sort of 2 premises we want to look at within the breakout rooms. The first one speaks to what I've just said around thinking about the balance between virtual, face-to-face and blended delivery of our careers programs. We're all conscious of that desire to embed more of our work within the curriculum, and Ollie's alluded to that, and that can be some of the most effective stuff. But we also know the need to give young people real, tangible experiences, particularly on more disadvantaged young people who might not get exposed to the widest range of other experiences in their wider lives. So we want you to sort of unpick your thoughts about how we balance that. How do we start to sort of suggest best practice in different areas, things that work best within virtual, have to be face-to-face, where we blend practice, using our sort of most creative thought processes. And then alongside this, of course, a constant battle, the constant need to engage more employers in a wider range of activities. So how can we keep engaging a wider range of employers? Are there now clear delineations where some types of employers work really well with us through virtual delivery, perhaps hadn't done so much before when it was face-to-face? Are there certain types of employers and industry where we need to involve greater contact, more time to be able to be with employers, with our young people in those work settings. So there's about 20 minutes, I'm right, I think, Michelle, aren't I, for this activity. You need to click on the actual breakout rooms on the timelines, then you'll be taken into those areas to try and unpick those 2 key questions, and then we'll come back together after that's taken place. Okay, so will everyone just naturally do that? Sorry, you sort of feel like you're waiting for something to happen here, but I think that will just take place as you all click. So please also, as you've joined the breakout session, please remember to join the conversation. So you need to press the join the conversation button.
I think Sam's just indicated managing the technology. They're going to go live in 8 minutes. So if you want to grab yourself a brew and come back and join. And as Ruth said, if you go back to the timeline, select the breakout session and press join the conversation, you'll go into the breakout. And then once the breakouts have finished, you'll need to go back into and then we'll start again. So yeah, it's ticking in 7 minutes, so 1/4 past. If you could ping into the breakout room, that would be wonderful. Thank you.